And we're cops, and that's all we are taught from day one is we are macho. We can take care of anything. Shut up, buttercup. Suck it up, and let's move.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
And I remember getting a ride home from my captain at the time, and
Who's at home at this point?
my girlfriend.
Your girlfriend, and what was her reaction to?
Now, what time of the day was this, too?
So we shot him at 4 o'clock. It was like 4:15
In the afternoon?
In the afternoon. Which is, to kind of go back a little bit, on the way to the hospital, I picked up my phone and I called my girlfriend and I said, listen, I can't tell you much. All I can tell you is that I'm going to be home late tonight, but I'm okay. And she's like, what's wrong? Like, that's not you. Something's wrong. I said, I can't talk about it. Just know that I'm okay. You're going to see some things on the news. Don't believe it. I'm okay. And I hung up the phone.
Support for the Suffering Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle.
Inside the package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker Ear, Nose, Hair Trimmer, and the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant.
And we also got the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. This thing is a life changer. Along with that, boxer briefs.
I'm going to tell you what, these are like high quality boxer briefs, and this is no joke. I'm not saying this just because Manscaped sent it to us. These are nice. My boys are going to be quite happy in there.
You can't tell Kevin's wearing them under the table right now. And we also have a nice travel package.
Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TSP at manscaped.com.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of balls.
So I get to the hospital. My phone is blowing up at this point by every single one of my family members and everything like that. I receive a phone call from one of my best friends. He is a sergeant in Raritan Borough. I pick up the phone and I was like, Rob, I can't talk, but the only thing I can tell you is read between the lines. I'm okay. My guys are okay, but I'm going to be home late tonight. And he's like, no problem. Click. He knew what happened without hearing the news, without just knowing the tone of my voice, knowing the person that I am, being a very tactical side guy. Like, Mike's only going to say this if this situation happened. So he calls my girlfriend, tells her that I was involved in a shooting, and just look at the news and everything like that. So that's how she finds out about that. Can't talk to her for the whole day. I get home at like 12:30 that night after dealing with everything. And I walk in the house.
Thoroughly exhausted. Emotionally and physically spent.
Absolutely drained. And the kicker of it is my lieutenant pulls up to my house and my garage door's open and my door into my house is opened. And I was like, what the fuck is going on now? My lieutenant's like, is this supposed to be open like this? I'm like, absolutely not. So I go from dropping somebody, now I'm clearing my own house because she left everything open because she was so distraught. So I walk into the house full drawn, like plying corners and stuff like that. And she's like, Mike, I was like, Jesus Christ, click the holster. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, you never leave doors open. And she comes up, gives me a hug, everything like that. So that was that night. And couldn't sleep that night. And for weeks and months after, on the topic of the administration issue, they reached out, my guys reached out, my officers and partners reached out a lot. Administration couldn't, or let me rephrase this. I think that they should have, but in the temperature of this, to give the viewers a little bit of context, this shooting was a little over a month after George Floyd was killed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right. So policing was not in a good spot. Everybody was...
Tensions are running high.
Everybody's rioting. Cops are in the gutter. It's bad. And it's just not good. And unfortunately, this is a racial shooting. I'm white. My partner's white. This individual is black. It's a glass bottle in his hand, which is the edged weapon. People are going to construe that in a way. You know what I mean? We've all been at bars before, and people have broken bottles and stuff like that. And some people think, like, well, what the fuck? You should have done this. You should have done that.
Shoot him in the leg.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a Monday morning quarterback.
Shoot the bottle out of his hand.
Right. So this is what I'm giving my administration this out. They would call me behind closed doors and say, hey, just reaching out, seeing if everything's good. You know, we're proud of you. Click. Well, that's fine. I appreciate that sentiment. But you should get in front of somebody and be like, our officers, we're proud of our officers of what they did. Put out some type of press release, something, rather than Fox 5 News saying officers shoot, black male. Like, come to our aid here, because the only people that are really doing it are the keyboard warriors from other police departments saying, like, I watched this video, this guy did everything that he can. And then they're getting trampled on from the trolls saying, this is bullshit, this like Black Lives Matter, all the cops do are kill people. So I wish that my administration would have came out publicly and backed us more. Even when I was cleared, it turned into the only sentence that was displayed was, I'm glad it's over. That's the only thing that really didn't sit well with me and my administration. I think they're good guys. I like them all. And I know the temperature was very hot in law enforcement. But if you truly believe we did the right thing, get up on that soapbox and preach it.
See, that's one thing I have to say about my incident. My chief was in my corner from day one. I mean, he was, giving his interviews, limited information that he can give out.
Right.
Saying, listen,
everything was just forwarded to the Attorney General's office. And I get it that it's a homicide investigation and it still needs to go in there. I understand that portion of it. I just, as a person, I wouldn't be able to sit with that.
Well, they're hedging their bet. Let's say you're found guilty.
Yes. What you're about to say is 1,000% right.
Let's say you're found guilty. So they're hedging their bet. If we come out in support of this officer and he's found guilty, we're supporting a homicide,
100%.
A murderer.
Right. But I just can't see, if you are portraying to be this great administration, we're going to have your officers back, we're going to be there for you guys no matter what, a lot of guys are going to hedge their bets, and you're 1,000% right on that.
But there's a way to do that.
Right. You need to be able to say, like, we believe our officers did everything that they were trained to do at this point. We're going to let the investigation go as it is, and we will reconvene or whatever.
We have every faith in the investigative process.
Right. However you need to pawn it onto somebody else, at least let me see that headline. I just want to see that headline, because every headline I'm seeing right now is officers going to grand jury. Officer kills black guy. Officer shoots black guy 6 times. Black guy dies only for having a bottle. You know what I mean? So that's the third prong of me just starting to spiral.
And I was going to say, you know what I went through? Like I said, my chief was behind me 100%. He would contact me every day. My PBA was behind me 100%. The mayor of our town, who's also the police commissioner at that point, drives down the street. He sees my ex-wife standing in front of our house. And he says, hey, how's Mike doing? She goes, oh, he's good. He's inside. You want to talk to him? He said, no, just tell him I said hi.
Right.
About a month later, I see him at a town event. He goes, how you doing? I said, I'm doing good. He goes, yeah, your shooting's costing us a lot of money.
Wow. And you see that, and then how does it make you feel?
Yeah,
you're sitting there, you're like, what the fuck, man?
What the fuck? You know.
So if anybody any cop is against body cameras. Okay?
Yeah.
So I remember when MVRs first got into our cars.
Right.
And everybody was scared to death.
Yeah.
Are they going to use it to jam us up? Are they going to do this? That MVR saved me from stupid demeanor complaints more times than I can tell you.
Right.
Had you not been wearing, in the current climate that happened in, had you not been wearing that body camera, camera probably saved you from.
I'd be in jail, 100%. Because it's
dicks
all
to the mouth.
Right. It's all he said, she said. And I worked in police departments that didn't have body cameras, and I worked in police departments that did. I am for body cameras because of this exact incident.
Yep.
And this is in that environment, in the post months after George Floyd environment, it is
a totally subjective
1,000%. If you are wearing a badge, you are bad. That is it. There's no struggle between that line. There's no blur. It's bad or good, and that's it. And everything. You
could Monday morning quarterback any incident and portray it the way you want it to be portrayed.
Except for that camera. That camera doesn't have a family. That doesn't know you. It doesn't care about you. It has no feelings.
That's why I said I was
motive.
I was never a big fan of body cameras. We didn't have them, but in my shooting, it would have showed the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
And so for those reasons, body cameras, if they're used properly, are there to protect you.
100%. It is there to aid the officer in a situation that if they have to use any type of force or any demeanor complaint or anything like that, if your administration is using them to jam you up, get out of that department and go to another place, because that's just a bad department. You know, these are not intended for this use. And they should not be intended for this use.
And it eliminates transparency.
Yes.
So when the officers come up now and they're wearing body cameras, and I know them, they're friends of mine.
Take video.
I go. You know.
Yeah, the disc.
Before it was we used to have to
The
wear
mics.
mic packs,
Yeah.
and we do this, right? But they do this, and I said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here because I really got to take a shit."
Right.
I think I pissed my pants. Like I'll say something like that, and they're behind the camera, and the
Shaking
camera,
their
they're
head.
like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't give a fuck." That's what I
Yeah,
said.
no, you're right.
Well, you know, it's funny. I mean, back in the day when they were doing like road jobs and everything, they have all the cones set up. I'd take my car, I'd run over every cone.
You just open up your door and just.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that being on body cam now?
Right.
So, how bad did the stress that you were under get? Were you drinking? What were your coping mechanisms?
There wasn't any coping mechanisms. It was tough because everything I've done in my career, all the crazy shit I've done in my career, I've always just pushed off. I've always suppressed it. I've always just pushed it in the back of my mind. And
Fill in a glass.
that's it. And we're cops, and that's all we are taught from day one is we are macho. We can take care of anything. Shut up, buttercup. Suck it up, and let's move. And that's what a lot of guys are still going through today in that exact same situations. So I suppressed everything for 10 years, and when that happened, the floodgates opened. Grab your raft. You're along for the ride. There's nothing you can do about this. It was an emotional roller coaster. Everything I've done in my 10-year career just started pouring out of me. And I wasn't going to therapy. I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do to get myself better. I was going to my therapist, and we would just sit across literally the table like this for an hour. And she would tell me, she's like, we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this. And I'm like, we're not, because you don't understand. And this is not something that I'm willing to tell you because you're not going to get it. And she's great. It's her name is Jennifer Kelly. She's a great therapist. She tried doing it her way for a little bit, the therapist way. And then it got to a point where I was just being a stubborn-headed douche. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to tell you something that you don't know. And I was like, great, here we go. Hey, throw some wisdom on me. Like, this is going to make a difference right now. She's like, my husband is a sergeant in crime scenes in the Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office. And he sees this shit all the fucking time. So if you're not going to talk to me.
Changes your whole thing.
Right.
Yeah,
if you want to talk to me, I'll get his ass in here and you'll talk to him. I'm trying to tell you that I see it not only in the professional side, Mike, I see it on a personal side because he comes home and deals with everything that he sees. And I have to talk to him about this. And we have a relationship with each other that he expresses everything that he sees because he needs to.
Kevin and I have both been to therapists who had no fucking clue what was
Right.
going on. And it
Truly no clue.
was
And that was my initial reaction to her. And then she threw this on me and I was like, fuck
This
me.
guy he's talking about actually had no clue.
Right.
it was like pulling teeth trying to talk to this guy until we got to the great Dr. Stefanelli.
Very good. Had him. Very, very good.
Dr.
I
Eugene
wanted to stay
Stefanelli
with
was
him,
fantastic.
but it got
And
pushed off.
Dr. Steph will just say, because you're fucked up.
Yes, the dude is that direct.
he's
I remember
exactly.
doing a Zoom call with him.
Because you're fucked up. You were in a shooting. Nobody's supporting you. And it's like this and that.
He's very, very direct.
Very direct.
And when I left,
but he deals with cops alone, so he knows what you're going through.
Yep.
He's very easy to talk to because he knows what you're going through.
yeah, so when I left him and I wound up, how workman's comp works and they're all fucked up.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to go this way, we're going to go that way. They're throwing you to 17 different doctors. And when I got to her, I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not telling you guys anything. Because every time I do make a relationship with somebody, you just toss me off somebody else because whoever's got the lowest bid right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing it. And for
Workers' comp works for your town.
right, exactly.
They don't work for you. They work for you.
And
All they want to do is push you back to work.
And it just foils back into what you were saying, how your mayor comes in and is like, your shooting's costing us a lot of money. Well, you got to be kidding me about that. So I talked to her, or now I am opening up to her, and that's when things started to change. But before that, I was drinking. I'd find myself at the bar, like a local pub. I'm just by my house by myself and just doing stupid shit like that. And it actually got to a point that when I went through this, and it's got to go to grand jury, which you guys know.
How many months?
It took them 27 months, almost 2 years to clear me.
And you get no information from them whatsoever.
For 2 years, I literally just sitting on my ass, sitting on my thumbs, not knowing what the hell is going on. Like I said, my department's not putting out anything. The state's not putting out anything. And
you're not working.
I'm not working.
Which is the worst
Right.
thing.
So I'm literally just sitting there climbing the fucking walls, and I'm not doing the things that I need to do to be able to help myself. And some of the things that I haven't gone in on other podcasts, which I will now because I think it's important. especially for guys that are going through this, is that these doctors are very good. Some of them are very good, and they're going to prescribe you medications. These medications will also alter your mind. They are going to, and they're going to tell you that, hey guys, take this Lexapro. If things go bad, call me. So there are times
What was your worst side effects with Lexapro? You could say it.
Yeah,
it's okay. We've said it before.
It's literally you are not getting hard. You're not blowing low. You're not doing anything. The sexual side of that is gone.
Okay, so what you want to do is hold your hand up to your buddy's hand and take your finger and rub it like this, and that's kind of what it feels like, and it just goes on forever. And you listen, every guy's like, it's going to happen all night. It's going to work all night.
No,
that is not fun. I'm telling you, that's not fun.
Mm-mm. And it's funny that we know that. Because if you're on Lexapro, you know that 100%.
Yep.
And
you just spit on her back and call her.
Right. And some of the side effects.
Smack the ass, spit on her back, and go home.
And some of the side effects are that they're going to make you more depressive.
Yeah.
And a lot, I went through that because.
Did you get the brain fog?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I went through that. I went through not knowing what the hell is going on, a lot of anxiety. And then what happens when you're anxiety? Like, okay, hey, we're just going to give you these Xanax. So now it's another pill. And then another pill for that. And another pill for that. And another pill for nightmares. And I'm medication defined. I don't need medication. This is me telling myself that. I don't need medication. I can figure this all out myself. I can do this on my own. No one needs to help me through this. And I know you're smiling because you've heard it. And you probably said the exact same thing.
We lived it.
Right. You're saying the exact same thing yourself. And then I got to a point and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not going to jail. I don't care what this grand jury is going to say. They're not going to make a mockery out of me. I turned to myself. I said, I can't do this job anymore. I literally did a deep dive into myself. I looked at it and I said, can I do this job? Do I want to go back and do this? That's my moral injury now happening.
And be put in that same situation.
Right. Like there is a physical injury, right, with your head and everything like that. Then there's a moral injury. Your moral compass gets injured in this. Do you want to do it again? Can I do this exactly again?
What if you're put in that same spot emotionally? It might destroy you, ruin you.
I always said if I'm in that same position and I hesitate and get killed, fuck it, I'm dead. I don't worry about it. If I hesitate, my partner gets killed, I'm not ringing a doorbell saying I fucked up, daddy's dead.
Nail right on the head. Yeah. If I go through a door, like the guys on my SWAT team are like, Mike, come back. Like either guys on my partners, come on, man, like come back. We love working with you. If I go through a door and I hesitate, something pops in my head a split second, right? And you go through the door, a stack, right? If you hesitate, right, or even when you're clearing a house, your partner bumps into you, that half a second, he takes a round down the hallway. You're going to go back to his family and say the reason he took that round is because you had a brain fart at that point, because you shouldn't be in the position that you are. You shouldn't be doing exactly what you had. You need to be on your A game at all times in this job.
Did you get anybody saying that you're full of shit?
Yeah. I did. It wasn't as that direct.
No, you always get it secondhand because nobody has the balls to come up and say it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was a lot of guys that were like, "Well, dude, he's a cop. Like, isn't this what you guys signed up to do?" And my reaction to that and to everybody listening
less than 0.05.
Right. That is a great statistic.
Less than 0.05 of officers in the country, of the 700,000 officers in the United States, get involved in shootings, get shot at.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, get involved in shootings. It's 0.1 shoot and kill.
Right. And I heard that statistic that it is less than 1% of officers in this country take someone's life.
Mm-hmm. But the other thing too now is you're Joe Macho cop, you're a SWAT guy. Mm-hmm. You're like, we should be able to handle this. Yeah. Like I said, I was a SWAT guy since November of 2000. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to be the big badass guy.
Right. And that's what everybody looked at me as that. And I couldn't do it anymore, and that hurt.
And I couldn't articulate why I couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? You're the big badass cop. Listen, I'm only 5'9", 185 pounds, but I always thought I was the baddest motherfucker out there. I was on a SWAT team. I was a submachine gun operator. I was a physical fitness instructor. All that stuff. This got to me. My shooting got to me. It totally fucking turned me around.
It rattles you to your core, and a lot of people don't understand that it rattles you right to your core and really makes you second guess and think a lot about the things that you shouldn't be thinking about when you're working, right? And after I did that deep dive in myself, the answer became no. The answer became, can I do this again? No. Do I want to do this again? No. And I had to make that decision for myself, and I had to take myself off the team. And I did it for the betterment of the job and the benefit of my partners. Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course, I can go back. Like some guys can go back. I could go back and be a fucking zombie. I can go sit there and just be a zombie in my car, answer my stupid ass fucking calls. I could be then a liability to the department. And which we talked about earlier is that when you go through something like this, some departments blackball your ass. You become a liability to that department if you ask for help. Mm-hmm. And when you ask for help, you become that stigma of this guy doesn't have it anymore. This guy can't do it anymore.